Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome. This is the first episode of Stories of Humankind. I'm here with my good friend and young budding game developer, Synth Bunny.
What's
You want to
up?
introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Synth Bunny, pseudonym. I also go by Breakfast Bunny sometimes. I am a independent game designer. I also do quality assurance for some other really big titles at a game company. So let's see what I have here.
Nice.
I'm currently working on Civ 6, but I've worked on Borderlands 2, Jedi Academy for the Switch, Jedi Outcast for the Switch, Civ 5, Roller Coaster Tycoon. So yeah, a lot of stuff. There's a few. So,
Dude,
yeah.
I will cut that to the beginning, too, so
yeah.
people, know,
Oh, and Call of Duty. That's another one.
nice. That you're repping, you know
Yeah, I
what
did.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you said you had another pseudonym as Breakfast Bunny. What's your favorite breakfast food?
Ooh, waffles. Waffles
Okay,
for sure.
Team waffles,
I
for
freaking
sure.
love waffles. I'll fight anyone that says pancakes are better.
It's that texture, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, let's start with, the crux of your identity in this podcast. You are a game designer. And so how did you know, or was there a certain pivotal point in your life when you were like, yo, I'm trying to go into game design?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was kind of more nerdy when I was younger, and then when I got older, I kind of became more social. But when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of friends, and so my escape was video games. I would be kind of just at home. I had some friends, but I still, when I was alone, an only child, so I'd play games to make myself happy. And kind of younger, I was like, man, I really want to do this for other people, make games that make other people happy when they feel alone or sad. So yeah, so that kind of when I was 9, I was I really want to do this. This would be amazing.
I feel like that's pretty that's almost I feel like a lot of people would be jealous of that almost. When you're so young, you just have this vision of who you want to be, And beyond that, I mean, obviously commendable too that you just stuck to it,
Yeah.
Because I feel when I was 9, I was watching, there's this show called Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh, I love that show. Yeah, it's awesome, yeah.
I'll throw up a little clip or something of Jackie, but and I'd be oh shit, this guy's an archaeologist, he's doing kung fu, he's got this talisman, it's I'm gonna be an archaeologist, But I just feel that's just when you know, oh, I want to do something, you have this purpose and you can follow it, I feel that's so freeing,
Yeah, it's funny you say that because my cousin and me had a discussion recently, and she kind of, it seems she hasn't really been fulfilled in her life recently. She's still young.
Yeah,
but
fulfillment. I feel that's the key word.
Yeah, and she started a new job kind of recently, the last few years, and she doesn't feel fulfilled. And we were hanging out, and she was I'm very she didn't say jealous, but she was I respect you a lot because you just knew what you wanted to do and you just did it. And I was yeah, that's just, I don't know, that's just how I've always been.
So did you feel what kind of steps were you taking? So you were 9, you were playing games. So I feel when you're 9 and you're playing games, it's kind of hard to be okay, I'm gonna do this now to become a game designer.
No, that's
right?
true, yeah. Kind of one of the earlier steps I took was I played a lot of Minecraft in middle school, and then I made it, me and my friend, we were playing an online friend, I never met him in person, and we...
Wait, still to this day?
To this day, I never met him in person. And he was just we were both oh man.
Was your name still Synth Bunny?
No, it was a different name. It was
Damn.
much edgier. It was Death Bunny 600, so...
So if you ever remember playing with Death Bunny 600...
That was me. That was me. You might know my server. I forget the name of it, to be honest. But yeah, we made a Minecraft server because we wanted to, we were spending so much time playing Minecraft, we wanted to make money. So when we were middle school, about to be high school, so we made a server and we ended up making a pretty good amount of money off of it, over 5K, just off little kids.
Wait, you can make money on Minecraft?
Yeah, we made a server and we had okay, so microtransactions is a thing in game dev where it's a player wants to buy a skin for their character. So we had microtransactions in the game and people would buy clothes or they would buy a house plot in the server. Joke's on them, the server went down, but it's still...
Wait, I had no... So how do they pay... when you're not... How do you set up a method that they can pay PayPal?
Yeah, I had a website and yeah, they...
You did this when you were 10?
I was 13, so...
Bro,
yeah.
what?
So that was an early I wasn't doing game design, but I was doing a lot of things that kind of revolved in that area, and I was this is really fun.
Dude, 5K for a 13-year-old is fat cash. Or even $100 for me when I was 13 was
It paid for
I'm rolling. I'm
It paid for all my high school parties, so that was fun.
Dang, you're how did you afford like these like 10 bottles of Everclear, Gage? And you're like, well, that was his server, right? Cool. So that was like, that feels like pretty, I feel like that's like, that would be relevant experience like today, you know, if I put it on my resume or something.
It is on my resume.
Yeah, no, that's like you bringing in revenue, you created this product, like.
I was like community manager of like over 1,000 players, so like, yeah, it was, yeah.
Whoa. So then what was like the next step after that? Like after you're 13, what would you say? Because I feel like that's a pretty big milestone. Like, oh, I made this server, I made this. And by then you were probably like middle school, yeah?
Yeah, it was like middle school, like freshman year of high school. And then I had to stop doing it because my partner, who I never met still, he was like, I'm done, like I'm just out. He was just like, he wanted to focus on school, and understandable. But I was like, I can't do this on my own. It was too much work, so I just like closed down the server. So yeah. But after that, you're asking about the next step, right?
Yeah, kind of like what was the next big milestone?
Well, I finished high school. I had like an art background there as well, so that helped with that kind of like helped flourish my design skills in a way. And after that, I went to game design school, like college. But you don't need to go to game design school to do game dev stuff. Just heads up, it helps. But I think probably getting a computer science degree is probably better. Just heads up.
Dude, answer anything right now, bro. just learn how to code, man.
Yeah, no, but
like,
I mean, like, it's just like you don't really need like a degree to do game dev. Like, you just don't. Like, you just need to know the skills, and like a lot of times, if you can do the skills and you can prove it with your portfolio, like they'll hire you. So.
And I feel like there's a lot of jobs nowadays that's like the case. Like we're like getting into an age where like technology, I mean YouTube and Google, you can learn like almost anything like on the internet. I mean there's more traditional vocations where like you have to like go through like training, but like even like with coding and like video editing, anything like online marketing, I feel is.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not gonna say a degree is worthless because it's not.
Yeah. Like, I feel like the college experience is in of itself like it has a lot of value.
And that piece of paper like proves that you can stick with something for 4 years and then like.
No matter how dumb it may be, you know.
Yeah, and so that can open a lot of doors. I'm just saying for game dev, it's just not needed. That's all. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Secret tips.
Secret strat.
Just like yeah. So then you graduated high school, and then you went to go study at...
it was a school in Boston. It was a small school in Boston.
Okay,
yeah.
But it was for game design. Did you feel like any of that, though, like... Because personally, I studied engineering, but I ended up, like, doing some internships. I wasn't really into it, and then I transitioned to a career where I used, like none of, like, the... I mean, it taught me like critical thinking and like methodical thinking, but like the actual skills I learned were not really applicable. Would you say a lot of your skills were? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Like I really like.
So it was more like 1-to-1. It was more like.
It was definitely what I wanted to do. Like they covered a lot of the stuff that I like still use today. So I definitely learned a lot. Okay. But I did do.
What do you mean a lot of stuff you use today? Like certain programs?
Yeah, like programs.
Or like strategies.
Programs, strategies, like books that we read, like all like it was all like game dev related. And so like I learned a lot about like how to do 3D animation, like 3D modeling. But the thing is like a lot of those skills, you can't just take one class on it or 2 classes. Like you need so much other like extra time to learn those programs and have like an art eye to do those things. So it's the compounded knowledge of those classes plus like hours and hours of me like studying like how to do these like use these programs
and like doing it.
Yeah,
right?
and doing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lifestyle. It's like you can go to one workout class and like eat like one salad or like one protein bar, but it's like, can you implement this lifestyle change?
Yeah, I think it's a great analogy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So then, after I feel like then once you like kind of transition out of like, because when you're in college, like there's no real like pressure to like have to like succeed. I don't know if I'm phrasing that right, but more like when you're in college, it's kind of just like, oh, I'm just gonna study what I need to study, pass my classes, and like you can kind of cruise and have fun the rest of the time.
I think that's the mindset of a lot of people, especially at my college.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people at my college that, I'm not going to name any names obviously, but there was a lot of people in my college that were like, I had this attitude where like they didn't know what to do after high school, and their parents were like, what do you want to do? And they like video games, and they were like, oh, let's do game dev. Like I'll go to game design school because I really like playing video games. So playing video games and making video games are completely different, and they're one of them like making them is really hard. And so a lot of people would like coast and just do what you said. But like for me personally, I was like, I already know how hard it is to make a game just based on like
that one Minecraft.
That was
for
like,
example.
Yeah, for example, that was one of the, that I knew how hard it was. And so I was just always in the lab trying to just like make my own games or make my own like or work with the team and doing game jams to get like more knowledge because I just knew how hard it was going to be.
What's this game jam though?
A game? You know what a game jam is?
It's kind of like I'm imagining in my mind like Rock Band, but like you're like fighting people with like your fucking like your fucking guitar.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes. Okay, game jam. Let's go.
Yeah.
Just fucking.
Right now.
Yeah.
No, a game jam's like there's a word for it in coding as well. I can't remember what it. There's another like similar type of thing in coding, like computer science. But it's basically you get a theme and then you have a certain amount of time to make a game.
Hackathon.
Yeah, hackathon. Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. I know we have some friends that did a hackathon for American.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would do like as many game jams as I could, and I would usually be on the art side and the design side, and so that's what. So yeah, so you'd have like 48 hours, make a game. Like here's the topic.
But I'm guessing these games are pretty like rudimentary. If you have like 48, like Pong.
Yeah. I mean, they're a lot more complicated.
More than Pong. I guess by like at this stage.
Like we made probably the one I'm most proud of, and it was just a team of two, me and one other person, and he was the coder. And I was the artist, and we designed it together, and it was like there was 4 classes. It was like a mage, a knight, a healer, and like a bunch of different ones. And you had to like fight waves of enemies that came at you, and you had to just like use like spells and stuff to like shoot at them. So it was actually like pretty complex for like 40 hours. Yeah. So that one came out really good.
Do you just like post up in a sleeping bag and just like and just like you just stick an IV into your arm and you're just like
100% basically.
Oh, shoot,
like it's like they're like
Gatorade in the IV. Gatorade and Four Loko.
It's Mountain Dew. It's Mountain Dew.
Oh,
Mountain Dew.
Is there some? I've been hearing. Is there some sort of like stereotype around Mountain Dew?
There is.
Okay, what
Mountain Dew and Doritos, man. It's like the gamer fuel.
It is?
Yeah, it's the diet of a gamer. No, I don't know. It's just a joke about like the guy who plays video games 24/7. He has a diet of Mountain Dew and Doritos and.
But is it Cool Ranch or is it the red flavor?
It's usually red flavor, I think.
Okay, I feel like red flavor is more like the more iconic, like if you see a gamer or something, you know.
Well, and I think they make the joke. It's like, you have like dust on your fingers, and it's and you're putting it all over the keyboard.
Yeah, we need some entrepreneur to Well, I guess that's already been solved, kind of. Like I use chopsticks sometimes to eat, like chips.
I have seen that before. I have. Yeah, like that's pretty smooth. I haven't tried it, but I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's kind of sometimes it's kind of a pain because you're still like you have to just I don't know, you kind of have to coordinate, you know. It's not as easy. I feel like there's a certain amount of like effort to like you have to look and like
what if you put it in like a bowl and then you like
here we go.
Game design.
See, I can't like game design. No, it's just like but I feel like actually, that's probably better for me for portion control because I feel like if there's a bag in front of me and it's open, it's just like an endless bowl.
Oh yeah, because you can't see like
exactly
how many you're eating. Yeah,
exactly.
no, that's true.
Yeah. So IV bag with blended red Doritos and Mountain Dew IV and then game jam. That sounds pretty dope. I was thinking like as you said, I was like, dude, like what if I just made a game where it was just like Zelda? Just like smashing pots. That's it.
That sounds
just infinitely just smashing pots.
I mean, that sounds fun. I'd play
stress
it.
reliever, you know.
I would play that. Hell yeah.
Button mash.
I think that's a fun thing about game jams is like it teaches teamwork a lot too, and it was kind of like a quick funny story. So it was me for that time. It was me and my friend. We were doing it. My partner and just like my coworker. Sorry, my coder.
The coder guy.
The coder guy. Sorry. But there was another team in the lab there, like also doing the game jam, and within the span of like 2 hours, they just fell apart. Like they just I guess they didn't really know each other very well, and they just started like arguing and getting to like design fights, and then they were like it was just like me and my friend, like my friend's coding, I'm like doing art, and we're just like watching watching over our shoulders, like kind of just like checking it out,
sipping on this tea as you're like eating your Doritos.
Yeah, and it just falls apart, and they're just like, oh, like this girl like gets so mad, and she just is like, I'm done, and she like runs out of the room, and the team just like falls apart, and we're just like laughing about it because we're like, oh, we're gonna get done with our game in like 48 hours. So
dude, this sounds kind of like some reality TV show shit, like YouTube drama, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
between like streamers and whatnot.
Game dev, like independent game. That's not an indie team, but it's like a small like it's like a small corner of an indie team, like doing a game jam.
Yeah, like a representation of what like
Of what it's
team would
like.
be
Yeah. And it can be like you can have a lot of stressful situations with if people that like you have design, like you butt heads on a lot of stuff. It happens. Like it's happened to me multiple times. So.
Dang. I mean, I guess that's the case for like that's like the classic like, oh, I hate working in teams, right? There's like that one fucking guy, you know, that one fucking girl. It's like there's this meme that I always see. It's like, yeah, like I want my teammates to come to my funeral so they can let me down one last time.
Oh no, yeah.
Like the classic just. So you did that game jam. That also seems like pretty relevant. Like that's literally something you could show off like on like a portfolio and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were kind of talking just about like how people were cruising and just kind of getting through. But you like, and so that's kind of like representative of what you were saying when you were like 9. You just like kind of like knew, you know, your eye was on the fucking prize. And so throughout like the rest of university, or college, did you like have any other big realizations about what it'd be like? Because by that time you're like old enough to like sort of do shit on your own and like go places, and I'm sure you had like more just like breadth of knowledge about like the game industry. Were you never like discouraged at any point like in college? I feel because I feel like that's when you meet a lot of like major obstacles in like reality, right? College or like right post grad.
That's a really tough question.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot.
I think I got the answer.
You got it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I got it, yeah.
We could break it down.
No, I think I got it. One thing that you kind of realize with the game industry as you get older is that it's really competitive. Like that was a lot of things our teachers told us. Like it's a very competitive industry. Everyone and their mom wants to do it now. Like maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Everyone likes games, right?
Everyone likes
games.
games.
The next step is like, I just want to do this for a living.
Exactly. Yeah, everyone wants to do it, and it's like oh, you get to do like art stuff. That's cool. Like you get to like test games. You get to design games. Like it's fun stuff, but it's just like everyone wants to do it, and so like in college, like not every professor was like this, but some professors were like, it's gonna be hard. Like you might not get a job in the industry like right out of the gate. Like it's tough. There was one guy I met at a game. Like I was showing off a game I was working on in Austin. It was probably like a year ago, and he saw my game prototype, and we were just like talking about stuff, and he was just like, oh, I work for this program that takes college kids out of like kids right out of college that can't get a job in the game industry, and then we help them get those skills. So it's like a second college, and
so this is kind of like cram school. I feel like in Japan or something, but except like instead of like high school to college, just like college to job.
Yeah.
Or like this is like coding boot camp. That's a better example.
It is, but it's more like honestly, yeah, that's probably the best example. Yeah, coding boot camp is like a good example, but gaming boot camp, yeah.
You ever see this? Like, there's this guy on YouTube, Freddie Wong or something.
Oh, I love Freddie Wong. Yeah.
Yeah, and he like made this thing called Video Game High School.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love Video Game High School.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what like your gaming like camp kind of. I mean,
if only it was like that.
It was just like battling people and like racing.
That
would
like, be sick. I would love that.
So, some of your friends, you didn't do that though.
Didn't do what?
That coding boot camp?
No. I got into so I've been in QA for 2 years now. About 2 years.
Damn, it's been 2 years?
Yeah. I know. It doesn't feel that long, does it?
Nah, dude. Quarantine just kind of like warps my sense of time.
No, I feel that. So I got out of college. I did a short because I do art and design and like other game stuff. But so I did a triple thread. No coding though. I did like a short stint of like working for my professor and like a director for an opera. So I did 3D animation for the opera. Yeah, right after college.
What does an opera do with? I thought they were singing.
They were singing. No, so they actually, it was interesting because what they did was they had people on the stage singing, and then they had people in the back mimicking the singing, and it had a camera in front of their face, and it would take their like face movement and put it onto the characters on screen that's above the people singing. So there was like 3D characters above the people singing on a big screen, and then there was
like motion capture.
It was like motion capture, but real time while people were singing opera. And so
why didn't they just use a camera on their faces actually singing?
Because then it looks weird. Because you're still watching like people on the stage singing, as with the like up there too, like up on the screen. So okay, maybe I didn't paint a good picture. Okay, like big screen.
Yeah.
Up with like 3D animation up there with like characters doing stuff. People below that on a stage also singing, And then in the background, like behind the stage, they had people with the cameras.
But above screen, what's on the television? Is it them singing, or is it like them acting out what they're
It's
singing?
like 3D modeled characters, like representing them
In like a scene, or
yeah,
is it just
in like a scene,
okay?
yeah.
So it was more just like, it's kind of like, you know, when they have like those orchestras that like a Harry Potter or Jack Sparrow movie, then they play the orchestra. It's kind of like that, except the orchestra people are the opera people.
Sorta. I kind of. It's kind of complex. It's kind of like a weird. It was like
Maybe I can like throw up a photo or something.
Yeah, it was a very experimental thing. But that was really cool to work on.
That sounds pretty sick.
It was fun. Yeah, it's fun. I'm actually working. I should be doing it right now. I should be animating right now. But hopefully, I'm going to get it done tomorrow. They actually reached out to me to do a second opera for COVID, so I'm working on that right now.
That is sick. I had no idea you were up to that.
Yeah.
Dude, for real, like staying busy right now and just finding shit to do. Because otherwise, like, dude, I'll just be like laying around, and then all of a sudden, like, a week has passed, you know?
It goes by
like,
fast.
Yeah,
It's like, you gotta be careful.
Yeah. So then, we were kind of talking about, like, how, like, you realize the game community is really competitive, and so does that mean you have, like, a lot of friends just, like, drop out and, like, start doing other stuff that wasn't gaming?
There was a lot of people that dropped out, for sure.
Where'd they end up?
Like, a lot of them transferred colleges, but I mean, I lost track of a lot of them. But I do know a lot of people who have left the game design college and have not found like a job in the game industry yet. So
Like they graduated.
They graduated and they still have not. And whether that's them not applying or them just not
being unlucky.
Being unlucky, yeah. It's like because it's so competitive. It's like and you have to be in the right city. Like I was very lucky to like come back to like Texas and like because there's a lot of game dev jobs here, and there's like there's like a good amount in Boston, but there's like only so many. So yeah.
Yeah. Dang. So then you finished college, you got out, and then what was you said you were doing QA. Like what's like? So you can't just like become a game designer. Like, I don't even know what that means. You know what I'm saying?
Typically, you cannot just become a game designer.
Okay.
Because so like a game designer is like someone that wears many hats, but they have to basically it's like, okay, what's a good example? Okay, we need to make the mechanics for like a combat system for this game. So like let's say there's like a fantasy game and we need a sword combat style. So you need to design like basically like how the sword play is going to work. Like is it going to be just like
you have to do that as the game designer?
Pretty much, yeah. Like you have to map it all out. And
that's kind of cool. You could like maybe like call up like I don't know like a kendo master or something and be like, yo, like can you like send me a video, or like you could research it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, for sure. You did tons of research in that stuff. Or like for example, like I'm working on a puzzle game right now, and there's like lots of different kinds of like puzzles, but like the way you play the puzzles, it changes the environment of the game. So I had to figure out like, what puzzles do I want in this game? What puzzle, like how is it going to change the background? How is it going to affect the characters in the game? So you just kind of have to plan out like everything that's going to be in the game. So that's like the design part for a lot of things.
Okay, so design isn't just like, when I heard design, I'm like, okay, like drawing and like.
You don't need a lot of drawing in design.
Yeah, but it's more about like the way. It's more a broad, but design it's literally just like this. You're like a director basically.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah. Like this, like does this, and like how does like it fit in the big picture of like what I want the user to do. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really
like
concise,
kind of like UI sort of.
I think what you said is a very concise way to talk about
how
it.
I direct the
because
user.
it's definitely like a broader sense. Like yeah. So the reason you don't just become you're not like, oh, give me that game design job. It's because a lot of times you already have a job at this game company and you're working in a lot of these systems and like with the game engines.
In one of the individual systems.
Yeah.
That like you need to like. So is the game designer usually just like a lead then, and then he just like is the boss of like a team?
I think so. Like I haven't been like a professional designer, but from what I can tell, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're kind of just starting out. So what would you say it's like on that end? Like how do you, if somebody were watching or listening to this and they're like, oh dang, and they're 9, right? Let's say they're 9 years old and they're like, yo, I want to get into game design. Like, what's kind of from your experience? What would you say like? Could they do, and let's just say they have like a 9 to 5 job or a part-time job or whatever. What can they do like in their free time in the afternoon or whatever it may be to like go on their path? Do you think?
So it's gonna sound cheesy, but play a lot of games. But no,
They're gonna be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Mission accomplished.
But you want to play games that you don't normally play too. Like you want to play variety, and you want to figure out like when you reach the moment when you've played so many games and like you've done like research on like how a game is made.
What do you mean so many? Will you know?
You'll know. You'll know, yeah. And like not the same game. Like I'm talking about lots of different games. You'll start like being like, oh man, like I would have done this instead of that. Like I would have, instead of like designing the level this way, I would have designed it that way because I think it would have improved the player experience. And so like when you're going to bed at night and you're like thinking about design stuff, like you're like
stuff like that. If you're going to bed and you're thinking, I wouldn't have done it like that. I would have done it like this. When you're going to bed, not at night. Like when you're going to bed at like 6 a.m. in the morning, you're like,
yeah, after you've been up all night, like working. So I think that's a really good start. Is like okay, here's like I'll give 3. Play a lot of games. Figure out like what makes them tick. Like what goes into making a game. Mess around with modding a lot. I think that's like a lot of fun too, and it's a good way.
Yeah, I remember modding with like. I haven't played too many games. I remember like I used to play Skyrim. People make all kinds of mods for that. Like they'd like turn like mammoths into like Thomas the Train.
Yeah.
It was fucking terrifying.
It was awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. It was pretty cool though.
But like, I think like a lot of my focus, like I'm in QA right now. Like I would definitely want to do like not be in QA for the rest of my life. But I think I would definitely want to focus more on my independent projects that I'm working like outside of like my 9 to 5. So
wait, can we recap those 3 things again though? So it was it was play more games. Modding.
Yeah, modding, like mod games, like figure out what makes them tick. Like figure out like what goes into making it a game, like everything, like just like how art works in the game, how how scripting works, how programming works, how like the UI works, how the design stuff works. Just like take one of your favorite games and just take it apart and just figure out like how would someone recreate this, and that's how you figure out like how to become a game designer, because you take. Like it's like they're blueprints. Like the old like games are blueprints. Like they're revolutionary. Like you take like Mario 64 and you figure out what made it tick, and you're just like, wow, like so much went into this game. I need to take these principles and like apply it to my game. Like so.
So what's number 3? Or
I think that was 3. Like what makes it tick, modding.
Oh
yeah,
games. What makes it tick?
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And read some books. Like there's a lot of really great game design books out there. So
I'm sure there's like hell resources on like I feel like now more than ever, like people who like have become really successful in a certain field, especially ones that are like based like off the internet or in some way like independent of like location, like they're like making classes and like posting like tutorials on how to do like the stuff that they do online, and so that's like I feel like if you want it, it's like out there.
It's out there, and also like. The 2 biggest game engines in the world that are free. Like
what are they?
Unity and Unreal Engine. You can use both of them for free, and you can publish a game, and they won't charge you money until you make a certain amount of money. Like,
what do you mean they're free? Like you just go
you
and
just
like,
go to the website and you just download it, and you got a game engine.
So is a game engine like? So I'm like an engineer, so I like know like there's like SolidWorks and like Pro E. Is it just like kind of like a window, and you like design like a character, and then you can like give it actions and stuff like that?
Sort of, yeah. I think that's a good way.
Is there like a coding element to Unity and I forgot the other one.
What do you mean?
Is there a coding element? Like, how do you make it do?
It's like
or you import a file.
Yeah.
That like okay.
You can and they have a lot of blueprints already made too. So like if you want a first-person shooter blueprint, they got it. So just throw it in there and then like tinker with it. Watch lots of YouTube videos. There's so many out there. One of my favorite YouTube channels that does Unity tutorials, they just closed shop yesterday, and I was so sad. Like I was like about to cry because it was like they got me through college. Like
why did they close shop?
They've been doing it for 8 years, and they were like, we're just like we want to move on. Like they have like 1 million+ subscribers.
They just want to do something new.
They just want to do something new, yeah. But yeah, like those engines are out there. And there's tons of tutorials. Like if you want to get into it, just like mess around with those engines too, because like yeah, they're really daunting at first, but once you like get it, it's like it's it just takes time.
And in a way, I feel it's almost kind of like brutal too, because you like, in the sense that if you like aren't doing what you want to do at some like, it's kind of on you. Like when there's this many resources and like stuff out there, it's kind of on you. You know, like when literally there's these two game engines. Like if you're really trying to like become a game dev, then there's like, I mean, obviously I don't know everyone's life situation, but there's like not many excuses, you know.
No, yeah,
as
I mean,
far as like resources go.
Yeah, if you and
maybe like, I mean, obviously you need a computer and internet connection, but like
I was at a panel one time and someone was like at a game dev panel, and she was like, it was a panel for like indie devs,
Yeah.
and she was like, who here has a computer? And everyone like raised their hand. She's like, you have the first thing you need to make a game. Like that's all you need really, like just a computer.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like among the people that want to become a game designer, like what's holding them back isn't like the resources.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. A lot of people have the resources.
Maybe their work ethic.
But yeah, it's like I've known tons of people. They're like, oh, I want to be a game dev. Like all of a sudden, and then they like start it. They download the engine, and they get in there, and it's just too like it's so daunting, and it's so much work, and they just like quit. So, and your game does not have to be like the next Call of Duty to be successful. Like it doesn't. Like if you look at right now, Among Us is like one of the biggest games in the world. Like it's
but I was literally about to say that. Like I feel like Among Us was probably made. I haven't really played. I've seen some videos, but I feel like it could have been. It's pretty like simple in comparatively.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
To, like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, or Call of Duty, or like.
No, absolutely, and the art style is simple. The mechanics are pretty simple for the most part.
Yeah, the art's so simple.
Yeah, it looks great, but
Yeah,
like, I'm not like dogging it at all. Like
But
it's just
simple.
it's simple. Yeah, the only hard part is probably like the net code. But like those kind of games, like you can find success. Like
Flappy Bird, bro.
Flappy
That was
Bird, yeah.
so simple, just like up and down, but it was immensely successful.
Yeah,
it's just well executed.
I see.
That one maybe
That
an
one's
exception.
I think that one's a little different because that one got really popular because PewDiePie played it.
Oh, really?
And so like,
I didn't know why it blew up.
yeah, so and that's like a huge thing. Like streamers playing your game, that's why like part of the reason Among Us blew up was. But I give that one more credit because it's really well designed. But it's
maybe
just
this is another pro tip.
Yeah,
get streamers to play your game.
Yeah, and for sure, absolutely.
Have you felt like streamers have kind of? I feel like streamer is now like an occupation. You know. Have you said that do you think that they've kind of like changed like the way that, you know, gaming is viewed, like within both the gaming community and like the way the world sees gaming?
Can you elaborate on that?
So I don't really know much about streamers aside from the fact that like I've heard like this stuff about like e-boys and e-girls and like.
Okay, well those are just memes. Like that doesn't have anything to do with it. Yeah.
So what I understand is there's Twitch and there's YouTube and people like play games and like that's kind of how they start out, and then people like subscribe and they follow them. And then they'll do other shit, or they'll talk as well, and people are like interested because they've kind of known this person through gaming.
Yeah, they're like a personality.
They're a personality based around gaming. Like I know about like fitness and like travel influencers, shit like that. But I'm guessing that like streamers are the same thing, but like around games.
Yes.
But I feel like they have a lot more influence in the world than like your average like influencer, just in terms of like the amount of money they make, the amount of like, I don't know, online presence they have. It just feels greater to me. Well, and I'm not even within the community of gaming.
But you just from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest like boon in their favor is, I said favor twice. The biggest thing in their favor is that it's their thing is an online thing. So like they have to be online all the time. So their presence, it's going to be like
it's
worldwide.
Compounded by the fact that. Okay.
Yeah, and but
you're
yeah,
already online when you're doing it, so you might as well.
Yeah, so it's like gonna have a big influence on the internet. But I think you're right. Like streamers are crazy, dude. Like they have a lot of influence, especially in the game industry.
Even outside, I feel.
Even
like.
outside,
like this PewDiePie guy, right?
Yeah.
Like I know, I don't really know like why he's so big, but he started as a gamer, right? Mm-hmm. And now he's like doing all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. No, they usually start off as just like playing games, and then they get popular, and obviously it's like anything. It's not everyone who streams is gonna become big. Like you have to have something unique usually to like.
Or you have to be hot.
I'm not gonna say that, but
there's something unique, in a way. And there's nothing bashing about that. You use the advantages that you're given.
Use the cards you're dealt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I guess that's like another option now. Like, if you're into gaming, you can be like, oh, I want to be a streamer, or I want to be a game dev. Like there's options within like
Sorry, say that again?
So let's say if you're into gaming and you're 9 years old, right?
Yeah.
We keep going back to that 9 years old thing, but like another option you could be like, yo, like I'm really into gaming and I feel like I have something good to offer, like the community at large. Like you could become a streamer too, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's not really
It's
something.
less structured.
It's
more like,
it's not something I would recommend. Like to be a bit.
Because it's not like a certain amount of hard work doesn't guarantee that you're gonna blow up, right?
But I mean, the same could be same for game dev. Like I'm not going to
But I
recommend.
feel like it's more structured, right? You put in hard work and you apply to the right people. I mean, I guess it's the same for streaming then too. You put in work and you apply to the right people. Yeah, fair enough.
And there's like I forget the exact stat, but it's definitely over like 500. It's like maybe 1,000. There's like 1,000, give or take, apps put on the App Store every day. So like you're competing with
apps.
Yeah,
like not even games.
Not just apps. So like you're competing with all those apps if you want to put like games on the App Store.
That many?
Yeah.
Every day?
Yeah. It's like 500 plus to 1,000. It's in that area.
It's just mind boggles me like.
A lot of them there's a lot that is like trash, but like.
But I'm sure there's at least like 10 good ones every day, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and so that it's just like 3,000 in a year. But how long does it take to make an app, right?
It just depends on what you're going for.
Yeah.
But like Among Us, like it's been out for 2 years.
Really? And it just
blew up.
It's been out for 2 years?
Yep.
Huh.
And you know what's funny? It became so popular, and they were like, okay, I guess we have to go back to this project to like check out like work on it more because people like it. And originally they're like, okay, we're just gonna make Among Us 2 because our code is so messed up in Among Us 1 that we don't want to like start like ripping stuff out to like fix things and like make new content. That was the original plan, but then they went back and said they're like, okay, we're actually just gonna go
Among
back.
Us was just. It's everywhere now. The amount of memes that I see is just like unreal.
It's the flavor of the month. Like usually, like
but that's
like,
all it takes.
Yeah.
I feel like just 1 month of fame
is
all it takes to.
And
like,
people will be playing your game for like years. Like
yeah. Like it'll continue to have like this trickle effect. Dang, I did not know that it came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have like not just you, but like I have the impression like when something blows up, it just happened. You know, and like and it gives me like. It makes me insecure in a way, in the sense that, like, damn, like, I just did, like, this podcast, or I just did, like, I wrote something, I created something, and then you sit on it for a month after it's out and nothing happens, you know?
I think that there's so much content in the world now because so many people are creating that a lot of it just boils down to marketing. So, which is why for the game that I'm working on, I'm trying, like, really hard to find a publisher to, like, help me go over those hurdles of like marketing because it's so important. Like you could have the best game ever, and if no one sees it, like
or even if like 10 people play it, that's like not like enough. Like you need.
But that's not why I went into making games. Like I went into making games. If I can make one person happy, like playing my game, then it's all worth it.
Respect.
Yeah. So no, seriously, like it's like the amount of joy you get from like a person playing your game and like having fun is just like. I don't know. There's nothing else like it. Like it's so fantastic. So you created a world and people are enjoying it. Like that's everything.
I feel like if like a chef could have just said the exact same thing you did in like the past like 15 seconds, it would have fit perfectly. Like you're creating
like about their food.
Yeah, you're creating a world that you put in your mouth and you experience. You know, and it's like I feel like for a lot of artists, and like I think being a chef is an art. You know, I think like most things. At a certain stage, they become like an art.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But in that case, like that's like I feel like that's like true artistry, you know, rather than like chasing like I'm gonna be a game dev because I want to become famous, you know. And I'm sure that some people that's been their goal to just become famous, being a game dev, and they've achieved it. But I don't know if like personally, I just feel like it's just a more like you just have a more fulfilling journey when you do it like.
For the passion.
For the journey, for the passion.
Yeah. No, and I think so too.
Not that it doesn't. I mean, not that it definitely doesn't hurt like being famous.
No, it's a good side effect for sure.
But that's the thing. It should be a side effect, I think.
And I think it's like it's important. It's important to if you are going to do game dev, especially independent, like by yourself or with a team, to just remember that like. To step away sometimes and like go like enjoy your family or like your friends because there are devs that have like hold
Sucks
them
in their lives.
like they what?
It like kind of like absorbs their whole life.
Yeah, like they hold themselves up and they just work on it, and then like they lose all their friends, all their family, and they didn't die, but they they lose those ties and
just walk in, find them like passed out. The IV of Doritos and Mountain Dew just like overloaded their blood, and they're just like.
If only I hadn't become a game dev. But yeah, it's like important to because like you don't want like you have such a short life. You don't want to spend I have a successful game, but I lost all my family and friends. Like that's not worth it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely it's tricky because like part of me feels like this might just be my own personal bias, but I feel like a lot of people. What time is it, by the way?
That's a good question. It is 7:40. 7:40.
7:40. Let's
You want to wrap up?
After I make this note,
Okay.
we'll wrap up with one or two like really quick questions. Unless there's anything you want to bring up in particular.
I think. Oh, actually, there was one thing I want to talk about.
Yeah. Wait. What were you saying just now? Like right before I asked the time.
I don't remember.
Shit, I forgot too.
We talked about like not holding yourself up. That was like the lesson.
Yeah. Actually, that's I don't know. Forget that. I feel like it's not important. Tell me what you wanted to say.
There was one other thing that I think is really important to draw attention to.
Yeah.
Especially in game dev. And this isn't really like on the. Well, actually, it is. Okay, so recently there was a company called Lab Zero who made Skullgirls, and they made they made Indivisible recently. There was a lot of like stuff happened, and the president like closed the studio down, and everyone got fired. And it was like really bad. And a lot of those people like
this is like that one like the Game Jam thing, but like times
no,
like
like actually, like yeah, that's a great way to circle it back. And he like disbanded the company after like a year of just like I guess like the whole time the company was alive, like so much like drama and just like awful things that this like president was doing. So a lot of those people left, and they made their own company called Future Club.
That's a pretty dope name.
It is a cool name. And their whole goal is like everyone in the company gets like a part of the company that's working on it, and they like share the vision together, like
a co-op.
That's what it's called. It's called a co-op. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a game independent game studio co-op, and they're not the first one to do that. There's another studio that made Dead Cells, and everyone gets paid the same amount of money in the company, and they all like I think they all share equal as well. So I hope moving forward more independent studios do that, because every role in game dev is so important. Like a lot of times some roles like QA or like some design roles like just they're seen as lesser, and they don't like get paid as much and stuff like that. So I think it's important that like going forward more independent studios do that like co-op style. I think that's really cool.
And I feel like that's the kind of shit that you wouldn't know unless like you've been in industry and you kind of like understood kind of like the structure and the dynamics of, you know, how the gaming world works and like the inherent flaws that are like within the system, you know?
Yeah, like the game industry makes so much money, but like
yeah, and insane like the amount of people that play games, like just like, and it's so scalable, like almost infinitely scalable.
There's 2 billion gamers.
2 billion.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like.
And you said the game community is so competitive, so that means there's like a relatively like there's a lot of people that want to do it, but it's like a smaller.
Yeah, it's like everyone knows each other in the industry too.
Yeah. So that means that there's a ton of money.
Oh yeah, and it's like there's so much money, and it's like I don't know, like I just wish it was more like evenly dispersed, but that's just me. So
yeah. Was that kind of like the last?
Yeah, that was the main. I would like to list my favorite games at the end.
Dude, yeah, I was actually that was one of my things. What is your what's your favorite game? Or I guess
can I list like a few?
Let's do like top 5.
Okay,
or maybe we could do like top like 3 like serious games and top 3 like casual games, or top 3 like console versus whatever categories you think.
Okay, I'm just gonna list like top 5 like that I really like mean a lot to me. Number 1 is always gonna be like Zelda Wind Waker. Is
the OG.
Like that game, like playing it as a kid inspired the hell out of me. Like it is just so whimsical and just like the art hits so hard. Like it's just fantastic.
Dude, and imagine like that's the dream, right? The creators of Wind Waker are probably sitting here and they don't even know. They're probably sitting somewhere. They don't even know that you're like how much it influenced your life.
They know, dude.
Like, we know.
Anyone that works on Zelda, they're like, okay, like people are gonna like love this. Like. But to your point,
that's kind of the dream, though.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's
what you were saying,
really
like
good,
bringing happiness to people. Okay,
absolutely.
That's number 1.
So I'm the rest don't go in any order. That's just like the number one. Like,
Okay,
yeah,
head like above.
yeah,
head
above all
and
the
shoulders.
yeah. I gotta stand by that one. I really like Little Big Planet a lot. That one is really cool, and also a really great game to like start your game dev in because
mod?
no, because the whole game is made. So they have a story mode, but all of the things, the entire story mode is made with tools they give you in the game. So like you get to curate your own games in the game. So like we talked about this.
That's kind of meta.
It is really meta. We talked about this like a few months ago, but they came out with a game called Dreams, and that was like their new game where you can literally make like crazy games. And I don't expect any like serious game dev to do it because you can't make like a profit off of like making games in their game because it's like it's a
yeah. It's more just like to get experience and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think for starting out, like if you're young, if you play Dreams or like Little Big Planet, like those are really great starting points because the logic in those games is almost exactly like how making a real game is in an engine.
Would be, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I forgot to mention that, so I'm glad I brought that up. So Little Big Planet, beautiful, love it. What else? Sayonara Wild Hearts is more of a recent one, and that game.
I know about this.
That game
You've been trying to
blew
get
my
me to play
mind.
this. Oh, actually, I did play some of it.
You played some of it, yeah. That game, it's like artistically amazing. It took them 6 years to make. I'm pretty sure the devs were pretty burnt out after like working on it for 6 years, but like I think it is a masterpiece. And Queen Latifah is the narrator. Go play it. So yeah, those. And Dark Souls, the Dark Souls and Bloodborne series is also really amazing.
Was that number 4?
Yeah, that's number 4.
Okay.
Like the art in those is just mind blowing, and like the story and like mechanics and the world building is it's like honestly like Dark Souls world building.
Masterpiece.
It's just like so fantastic. I think I think Bloodborne is a masterpiece, but like Dark Souls 1 is like one of the early ones, and I still think it needs work. I hope they go back and rework it. They're re-releasing one of the first one ever as like a remake, so that's coming out soon. That's the PlayStation 5 launch title.
Dang, that's sick.
So yeah, so Dark Souls, and then I had one more I was gonna bring up.
Here, I can bring up the other one. So number 1 is Wind Waker, Head and Shoulders. Then we have Little Big Planet. We have Sayonara Wild Hearts. We have the Dark Souls /
Bloodborne, yeah.
Bloodborne.
They call it Soulsborne.
Soulsborne,
yeah.
nice. Is the last one like a console game? Is it PC?
There's not really like there's so many great games out there, but I'm just gonna throw in like the like Uncharted franchise because I think that's a really good one. So
yeah, that one's solid.
Yeah, that one like was really fun to play when I was growing up. So
nice.
Yeah.
Is there kind of anything else you wanted to touch base on?
Let's see. Do I have any other topics? Oh yeah, real fast. If you're in an indie studio, make sure your scope is doable because
what does that mean?
Scope is like, okay, we make a project and we're like, okay, we're gonna make like a platformer game with based on the like it's based around Greek mythology. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like okay, yeah, like let's do like 10 levels and that's.
You say that because we were talking about that Hades.
Yeah,
game?
yeah. Hades is also really great.
That,
Yeah.
That Hades game.
Yeah. But yeah, let's say we'll make like it's gonna be like 10 levels, like really strong levels, and that's gonna be our game. We'll be done. But then like you're like halfway through the game, and someone's like, what if we do 50 levels instead of 10 levels? And you're like, wait, hold up, like, and then they're like, no, we can do it. And then your scope just got way bigger because your scope is like you want it like it's like how big your game's
That's
gonna
like
be.
I want to make $1 billion when you haven't even made your first million.
Exactly.
You know, it's like slow the fuck down.
You gotta like start small and like branch out because I have been on so many teams where like for independent.
Bite off more than you can choose.
Like I remember I was working on one and like we had the base concept and it was going pretty well, and then our like basically the lead wanted to turn it into an MMO, which is a massive multiplayer online game, and he was like, oh, we're gonna have like what did he say?
But I feel like sometimes you just get caught up in the excitement.
No,
you know?
you do.
And you just need to like.
You need it, but you have to like as a game dev, you have to be realistic.
Especially
like,
as a leader.
Yeah.
You know?
And like as soon as like I was doing art and he came in and he was like, we're gonna have a fashion show. I was like, it's over.
You're like SMH, bro.
I was like, the scope is done. I was like, I gotta leave. I gotta get out of here. So like that's been a problem in multiple projects I've been in. My most recent project, independent project, I am the lead. So I am trying to keep the scope as like doable as possible. So, and I think I've been doing a pretty good job. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's some pretty like. that's some pretty key information, like, that you don't realize till, like, because like, it's impossible not to be, like, excited about your own thing if you're really excited. So that's something really key to keep in mind, just to, like, I don't know, that's more just, like, practical advice, you know, once you're, like, creating games, just, like, yo, like, just be realistic, accomplish your goal, and then, like, you know.
And on that same note, finish games. Like, if you're, like, halfway through, it's taking you, like, 6 months, don't quit. Finish it out. More games need to be finished because, like, there's so many. Even if it's, like, not exactly what you want, like, just, like, finish it out because, like, you'll thank yourself more if you finish it than if you don't. So.
Yeah, and I think for most things, like, a lot of creative pursuits, like, a lot of people are, like, long-term goals, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's some of the stuff that's most worth achieving in life is, like, takes months, if not years. Mostly years, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like a marathon, bro. You've ran 13 miles, you might as well fucking finish it, bro. Like, you only have 13 more, yeah.
But there is a wall, like, and it's like there's a wall. Like, when you are in the thick of it in game dev, like, there's a wall you hit.
It's like a common, like, phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I've hit this fucking wall.
It's like a real, like you're, like, halfway through it, or, like, maybe even, like, a third of the way through, and you're just like, how do I go on with this? Because, like, I hate looking at it. Like, it's because, like, you spend so much time on this thing. Like I think the Stardew Valley guy spent, like, I forget how long it took him to make it, but it took him like at least 4 years, I think. And like, he hadn't shown it to anyone. He had only shown it to his girlfriend and no one else. And it was like a month before the game was supposed to come out.
How long was he working on that?
He was like working on, like, it was like 3 to 4 years. Like, and it was a month before the game comes out, and he just starts having, like, panic attacks, and he's just like, I need to show this to people because, like, what if people hate it? Like, no one's seen it. And, like, I think that was his wall. Like, I really think that was the wall he hit, where he was just like, I'm not gonna, like, release this.
Even
like,
if you're that close to being done, there's like, beyond, like, the time and effort wall, there's also, like, this mental wall of, like, confidence in your game.
Yeah.
Dang.
For sure.
Well, on that note, the last thing I want to ask is, what's one piece of advice you would have given yourself 5 years ago?
Sorry, someone's texting me. Okay, cool. One piece of advice that...
And it doesn't have to be related to game. It can be, but just, like...
To my 9-year-old self, you said?
No, to your 5 years ago. You can say, like, one phrase or a paragraph to, like, yourself, and it doesn't have to be about gaming, and it can be if you want. This is kind of just, like, a little bit some extra at the end of the podcast I'm trying to do.
Trying to think. It's a tough question.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, like, the one most important thing you would say.
Yeah.
It just has to be, you know, something you think that yourself 5 years ago would have, like, anything. Even, it could literally just be like, bro, just, like, you need to hydrate, man, or you need to start fucking moisturizing. You see, like, you need to start moisturizing. A lot of people could fucking use that advice.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah. No, I think, like, a really important thing I probably would have liked to known is, like...
Or to know that maybe you knew it, but you didn't realize how important it was.
Yeah, like, understand, like, how much of an investment some of the projects you take on are, like, before you do it, before you say yes. Because, like, it sucks trying to, like, leave a project, like, halfway through if you feel like it's not for you. Like,
especially because you don't want to get in that habit of quitting things, you know?
Yeah. And, like understand the investment. Understand how much of the, like, let people know how much of an investment it's going to be to other people you're bringing on to the project. Because, like, you want to make sure that the people that you bring on are going to do, like, the project, and they're going to like it, and they know, like, how long it's going to take and, like, what is required of them. Because anyways, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Dude, nice. Yeah, cool. Well, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a pretty solid first episode of
really enjoyed
Stories
that.
of Humankind. Yeah, I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
So. Sorry, is it still running?
Yeah, I think so.
Follow me on Twitter at Synth_Bunny.
That, and we'll link it below.